Our high school students are joining us for this discourse, and the purpose of this discourse will be to focus purely on the process of meditating. So it's a very important discourse. Everyone, please pay attention. Please take notes. Without renunciation, one cannot move forward on the path to enlightenment. What is renunciation? When we think of it, we're often afraid. Changing your clothes, shaving your head, being solo, wandering around. But true renunciation is of the lower self, the limited self, the unhappy self. That is real renunciation. Until we are willing to let go of our weaknesses and our limitations, we cannot grow. We all have to be renunciants in that regard. We should want to be happier, to be more fulfilled, more content. And meditation is that means to make one successful in all walks of life. Everybody wants concentration in the way they drive, in the way they operate on the surgery table, in their studying, in their cooking. Everybody wants peace of mind. You sleep faster, you get up faster. So many of us take so much time just to fall asleep. So much time just to wake up. But if there's calmness of mind, it's easy to sleep. When there's calmness of mind, it's easy to wake up. It's just saving time. It's being more efficient with life. Gurudev writes, the average human being becomes amazing when they meditate. And Gurudev also writes, to fail in meditation often brings more achievement than success in a normal day-to-day activity. So trying to meditate and failing repeatedly, one will still become more capable than if one gained some sort of achievement outside of this. It's like that whole saying, if you aim for the moon and you miss, you're still amongst the stars. That's the idea. Meditation is the highest vocation. Let us take up this challenge. To be able to do this, though, we have to be aware of what the reward is. Again, we're goals-oriented people, rewards-oriented people. What do I get out of it? When we're aware of that, then we'll naturally fall into the meditative path. And what is that reward? To be independently happy. I don't know how many times I've said it already, and I don't know how many times I'm going to say it, but all that matters is being happy. Everything else is just details. Whether you're a boy or a girl, how long your hair is, how much money you have, all of that's just details. All that should matter is, are you happy? And as we're pursuing this path, as we engage in meditation, we will taste glimpses of that joy. I'm sure we all have in our life at some point. I'm sure we have in the last 24 hours felt some sort of joy. And so I plead of all of you, give spirituality its due credit. I feel we undervalue the importance and the joy that we get from spirituality, and we overvalue other pursuits and what we believe is making us happy. Like overeating. Like we claim to find so much joy in overeating, but nobody's happy when they overeat. You can't sit, you can't sleep, you can't breathe, some people. But we value it so much, which is why, Canada and America are the fattest countries. We love it. But nobody's happy doing it. But we're happy in such retreats. But when it comes to, Martin Luther King weekend, can you come here? No, I'm not coming. I don't have the time. I have better things to do. But you were happy when you came last year. But I can be happier watching the football game and eating lots. Right? There's that accuracy. It's not being assessed properly. If you're happy here, give it its credit then. And engage in this more. And as we keep referring to Swami Chinmayananda, to the Guru Parampara, think where you would be without spirituality, without Vedanta, without Chinmaya mission. Where would we be? That single thought, that attitude of gratitude should be enough to propel us further in our studies. Where would we be? For me, it would be a no comment. I wouldn't even want to describe where I would be if I didn't go to that camp in 1997. And the first Acharya I met was Swami Sharananda. And what I remembered about him was he was teaching us yoga. And I remember when we had that one exercise where he did jump on the spot. And I was amazed at how high he could jump. I was like, I would want to be like that too. And then we did Shavasana. And I had fallen asleep. And when I had woken up, my sister was pointing at me. She was so mad that I embarrassed her in front of everyone that I had fallen asleep. But she said, Swamiji said not to wake you up. And I thought that was so cool that, usually people would get mad. Why did you fall asleep? And Swamiji was like, no, leave him alone. He fell asleep. And again, I just was really moved by that acceptance of, I fell asleep. What am I supposed to do? You're all thinking, perfect. I'm not as compassionate as Swamiji is. We began this retreat with an introduction to meditation. And the salient point from that introductory discourse was, meditation is the sole means to being infinitely joyous. It is the sole means to rediscovering our nature. Then we went on to discuss the need for meditation. And what we focused on was, if I am not happy, I need to meditate. This morning we focus on the process of meditation. And the focus there was, we need to change the quality, quantity, and direction of our thoughts. Quality, quantity, and direction. And when we do all of this, eventually, we will transcend our thinking, our thoughts, our mind. Now we get to aids towards meditation. And I'm going to take this on from two perspectives: preparation and process. This chapter, part 3 of Meditation in Life, is called Aids to Meditation. And we're going to we're going to address it from preparation and process. It's a 10-point program on how to meditate. 5 points about preparation, 5 points about process. So start writing or start remembering. We begin with our preparation of our external environment. We're focusing on preparation right now. 5 points. Preparation has to do with our external environment. Point number 1. Create an infinity room. Create an infinity room. An infinity room is where you become infinite. It's a pretty clever name, no? This infinity room, ideally, should be only for spiritual practices. It shouldn't be the kitchen, shouldn't be the bedroom, shouldn't be the bathroom, shouldn't be the garage. It should be a separate room where as soon as we get into that room, the mind knows I'm supposed to pursue spirituality. I used to have my infinity room in the same room I slept in. And I often, when I was sitting and meditating, the bed would be right behind me, and I was like, I should just lie down and meditate. And that's what I would do, and I would just lie down and meditate, and naturally I was going to sleep. But now my infinity room is not where I sleep. So it's just for that purpose. Now many of us are in residence or have a small apartment where it's not possible to have a separate room. So adopt accordingly. But have a place where ideally the only purpose is for those spiritual practices. And this should be the center of your living arrangement. In Niagara Falls, I encourage our Bhagavad students to walk around Lord Krishna and Bhagavati Radha. And I try to share with them that they should be the center of your life. The Lord should be the center of your life. In the same way, when we're able to buy homes, let our meditation, our infinity room, be the center of our life. And all the other rooms should revolve around that. I go to many people's homes, and sometimes their spiritual abode is in the kitchen, or it's in a closet, or so on and so forth. And that's fine. But if we give it more importance, we will take it more seriously. I remember Guruji was talking to us about when he visits different people, and our guru should be the focus of our lives. When a guru comes to our home and stays in our home, the master bedroom should be given to him or her. Not the guest room or the basement or anything like that. The master bedroom, because they should be the focus of that whole situation. It makes sense to me. I'm just sharing that with everyone as well. And that room should be kept clean. The meditation room, the spirituality room should be kept clean. Because the more stuff that's in there, the more chances of the mind being distracted by it. The less stuff, the more the mind is directed towards focusing on that ideal. So keep it clean. That's number 1. Again, create an infinity room. I only call it an infinity room because it makes sense to me, but you can call it whatever you want. But it's nice when you give it names because you develop a relationship with it. Like the Civic that I drive, I call it Kartavya. Kartavya. Which means duty. That Civic allows me to do my duty. And Sheila drives a Honda CR-V, so we call that the serve. That's her vehicle to serve. She's a lawyer. She serves those who are disabled, those who have special needs. And you develop a relationship with it. So in the same way, come up with a cool name for your room, and then we'll chat about it. Number 2. Number 1 was create an infinity room. Number 2 is deal with the senses. Deal with the senses. And what I mean by that, all of our senses should be appeased when we're meditating. So suppose this is my infinity room and I sit down. So I have 5 senses. Let's go with the sound first. If there are jarring noises, put on a CD. Without words, like some background music. So that jarring noise is not distracting us. If there's a strong smell of some sort, light some other light. If it's too bright, one cannot meditate. If it's too dark, the inclination is to sleep. So just light a diya, or have one of those fake candles, or anything of that nature. But the idea is that the senses should be rested. They shouldn't be engaged. While you're meditating, you shouldn't be eating anything. You know, some people, you've got to be clear. So the senses, again, and even you shouldn't be holding anything. You're holding a ball while meditating, right? All of the senses should be appeased. They shouldn't be distracted with what they're doing. And the purpose is that we're trying to go beyond the senses. And if the agarbatti is too strong, it doesn't serve that purpose then, because then our mind is there. The room should be in such an atmosphere where we're not aware of sound, or smell, or touch, or taste. Like, it should just be neutral. So it's not taking our mind away from us. So this is dealing with the senses. That's point number 2. We're still preparing our external environment. Number 3, our seat. Number 3 is our seat. The seat should neither be too high, because then there'll be fear of falling, nor too low, because in some places it may be cold, it may be too hard, there may be ants, you know, sometimes there's ants. Just trying to be very thorough. And that's why yesterday someone had asked, or 2 days someone had asked Swamiji about why you see people like Lord Shiva who's meditating on a tiger skin. That's part of the reason, that there's insects in the forest. So that tiger skin serves to protect one from the roughness of the ground, dampness of the ground, insects. And the tiger skins that they use, they didn't kill the animal. They found the animal that had already died. And so they take that skin. You're using what nature has given to you. Because it's hard to create cloth in the forest. Using such skin is much more efficient then. That's why it's there. They didn't go out and hunt for a tiger and use that. But it's a very efficient idea. So our seat should be like that. And again, we shouldn't be aware of it. You sit down and then you disappear. Like, you don't even know that you're on a seat. And sometimes our seat is too soft and we sink into it then. And we just slowly fall backwards. And that's why the seat should be in such a way that you're kind of thrusted forward. That way the chances of you falling back and eventually sleeping are not there. And ideally, you shouldn't be leaning against anything. If you have a weak back, if you can't sit straight, then sit against the wall. But do back exercises that will help you to not need a wall. Like some elderly people, it's impossible for them to sit without support. That's okay. Does that mean I have a weak back, I shouldn't meditate? No. Adapt. So these are various points in regards to our seat. And Lord Krishna says all of this in chapter 6. I encourage all of you to read chapter 6 when you're finished with meditation in life. Lord Krishna elaborates on all of this. Then, number 4 is our altar. Our meditation room, dealing with the senses, our seat, our altar. That's point 4 in preparing our external environment. Our altar should be simple. Simple, simple, simple. The more clutter, the more distraction. The simpler the altar, the more focused we are. And we should fill our altar with all that we love. Don't put any pictures or murtis or stones or anything that you don't love there. If you're not into Lord Shiva, don't put a picture of Lord Shiva there. If you're into Mother Durga, put a picture of Mother Durga there. Whatever is going to bring that love out. If it's one picture, great. If you have love for 10 pictures, that's great too. But there should be no distraction. It should be simple. And like I mentioned with japa, it should be at the eye level. The feet of your Lord or of your Guru should be at your eye level. And remember that story of Lakshmana. He never looked past Mother Sita's feet. That's all he needed. His relationship with her was just to worship. And that's why you'll see when many people around Guruji, that they're not looking at him in the eyes. We look at people in the eyes when we are equal. But for someone who's wiser, when we look at them, we look at their feet. You'll notice that when people talk to Guruji, or even when I talk to Swamiji, I never talk to him in first person. I never say, hey Swamiji, or you should go over there. It's always in third person. How is Swamiji? Is Swamiji doing well? Can I get something for Swamiji? Because we're not equal. Swamiji is elevated in that regard. You develop that respect that way. Even, I was told that when Swami Ishwarananda was teaching the batch before ours, that the Shankaracharya had come to visit the students in Mumbai. And you're not supposed to wear an upper cloth. Males are not supposed to wear an upper cloth when someone respected of that nature comes. So imagine Swami Ishwarananda with just a dhoti on, and when he spoke, he put his hand over his mouth. Should some phlegm or spit come out while he's speaking? There's that much etiquette in regards to dealing with someone we revere. So this is all coming down to, we should look at the feet of our Lord, of our Guru. That's where that knowledge transfer comes. The fifth point in regards to preparing our external environment is you. Remember I had that card yesterday, you? It was very clever. I really appreciated that. I'll tell you a funny incident based on yesterday. So I had, my card was you, like Y-O-U. And I had asked someone, am I an incarnation? And they were like, yes. So then my mind went to, okay, maybe it's Lord Vishnu, half animal, half whatever. And so I said, am I an animal? And they're like, yes. And then I was talking to a group of people and I was like, so am I a male? And they're like, yes. Am I a female? Yes. I forget this. And finally Asha helped me out because she's very compassionate. Otherwise I would have been there all night. The fifth point is you. And what I mean by that is, we should be well rested. We should have healthy sleeping patterns. We should try to sleep at the same time every day. We should try to wake up at the same time every day. We should try to engage in our disciplines at the same time every day. That way the mind gets used to it. Like if you try to sleep at 11 o'clock every night, and you do it for, say, 3 weeks. Once 11 o'clock comes, and you say, no, I'm going to stay up another hour, you'll start to get tired. The mind's an animal of habit. So create that habit then. Same thing goes with when to meditate. So develop that healthy sleeping pattern. If you sleep too much or too little, the mind will not be able to meditate. Try to do this regularly. If you eat too much, you will want to sleep. If you eat too little, your mind will be on food. Try to keep the stomach relatively empty, to the point where it doesn't want food, and you're not aware of anything in it. At Sandeepni, the bell went off every morning at 4 a.m. So whether you liked it or not, 4 a.m., that's your problem. Dinner was at 8:15 and usually lasted half an hour to 45 minutes. So let's say 9 o'clock you finish. And then I like to sleep by 10 so I can get up at 4. And what I found was that between 9 and 10, I wasn't able to digest my food. And getting up at 4 a.m. became very difficult. And I learned this after 6 months of being there. So after 6 months, then I stopped eating dinner. I said waking up in the morning at 4 a.m. is more important to me than eating at night. And then getting up in the morning was easier. So keep that stomach relatively empty. You shouldn't be aware of it. If it's too full naturally, the blood's going to want to digest the food. But we want our blood to move upwards towards our brain. You should be clean when you meditate. And most of us live in colder parts of the country. It doesn't mean that you have to shower before you meditate. What it means is that you should brush your teeth, wash your face, wash your hands, go to the bathroom. That's being clean. Not, okay, just wake up and literally roll out of bed onto the meditation seat, just have your eye crusts and all of that. Like, that's being dirty. But it doesn't mean, okay, you don't have to full out bathe, because then if you go to the gym after, then you have to shower again. Skin gets dry, it's inefficient. So clean yourself up, make yourself presentable, and do what you need to do, and then take a shower afterwards if you want. Especially if you wake up at 5 a.m. It's really cold taking a shower at such an early time. And ideally, you should change your clothes too in regards to meditating. So you shouldn't wear the same clothes you slept in to meditate. Because then it would just be like, hey, you have these clothes on, just keep sleeping. The mind will trick us. It will find ways for us not to meditate. So change your clothes. Make yourself presentable. And when sitting, your legs should be crossed, ideally. And I'm saying it because some people may have leg problems and they can't. I'm acknowledging that. Keep your legs crossed. Your hands can be kept in two ways. Either your hands can be kept like this. I prefer to keep my hands like this, where my right hand is on top of my left hand. Because I feel like when my hands are like this, I'm still aware of that unity, how they're joined. But when they're resting like this, I'm not aware of it. To each their own. So you keep your hands like this, and your eyes are gently resting. Not pushing like this, and not, like half open, like, I want to see what's happening at the same time. But just resting, as if you just blinked and you didn't open your eyes after that. So it's very natural. Your base is wide as you can make your base, because this becomes your center for gravity, actually. Because if the base is small, then your center of gravity is shifting. But if the base is wide, then you've created a solid structure. So try to create a wide base, and the head, the neck, and the back should be in a straight line. Because then your nervous system is open. Your chakras, if you believe in chakras, they're all aligned as well. There's a lot of equilibrium there. And the shoulders should be pushed back, and the chest should be pushed forward. It's almost like when you run. You should run like this too. Like Terminator. You know, like Terminator 2 when he's running after it? That's how we should be like that too. It's very stable. You can sit there for long periods of time. Especially when you go into samadhi, right? If your base is not straight, then you'll fall. But when you go into samadhi, and your base is like this, you can be there indefinitely. You'll be safe. So those are some ideas in regards to how to sit. Now, you and I are not used to sitting on the ground as much as, say, our parents were. You can get used to sitting on the ground. It's possible. And asana siddhi. Siddhi is like a power that you get. Asana siddhi is when you can sit for 45 minutes comfortably. It's not going to happen on day one. But work your way up to being able to sit for 45 minutes comfortably. There are certain speakers that I've heard that sit for 8 hours like this. One of my own batchmates, when Guruji was here in the States for surgery, so we chanted Hanuman Chalisa for 108 times. And that takes around 7.5 hours. And my batchmate, because there's a line here, the brahmachari sit here, the brahmachari sit here. And I can't sit straight for that long. But I was watching her, and she was 7.5 hours just chanting mentally or verbally. She didn't get up. And I thought, how awesome that, she has that siddhi, that ability to do that. So 45 minutes is our aspiration. Once you do that, you can put on your resume, asana siddhi. You'll get into med school for that. 5 points in regards to preparation for our external environment. Meditation room, dealing with the senses, our seat, our altar, and our you, meaning our own self. That is preparation. Now we shift to process. Now it gets more subtle. Now it's inside. Everything else was outside. External environment. Now we shift inside. This is process. I apologize. One more point I want to make about preparation is, and Swami Sharananda had actually told me this. Acharya Gorham comes to Niagara Falls every year from Houston. And he does meditation in the morning, and I go to his class. And then after that, I go to the gym. And then I join him for breakfast afterwards. So he's asking me, how long do you go to the gym for? And I said, around an hour. What do you do at the gym? I said, I lift weights for 40 minutes, and I run for 20 minutes, or 30 and 30. And he says, good, but don't go to the gym for more than an hour. And I thought that was a strange statement to make, so I asked him, why? He said, if you go more than an hour, you'll start becoming more conscious of your body. You become body conscious. And then you become conscious of how other people look too. And that's getting into vanity. So keep your heart strong, keep your stomach down, keep your muscles strong, and that's it. So 1 hour. And that's what Swamiji and I were talking about. He said, a healthy body is no body. If we keep our body healthy, we won't be aware of it. Which is a good thing in meditation. We're trying to overcome this body consciousness. So just be healthy. We all know when we're sick that it's hard to read or do japa or anything like that. So be healthy. Especially my American friends. Be healthy. Especially Indian males, where we have great chances for diabetes based on our diet and lifestyle. Let's not be reactive. Let's be proactive with it. Every day, make sure you exercise. Rahul and Priya and I were talking about that. Every day at the ashram, 20 minutes, half an hour, make sure you make time to exercise. Okay, now, our process. Number 1, attitude. Point number 1 is attitude. And what I mean by this is, to get into meditation, to get into that frame of mind, do japa, as we learned today. Do 27 beads, do 54 beads, whatever. Or read something that will inspire the mind, or cause the mind to reflect. This is what I do. I don't do japa before I meditate. I do japa independent of meditation. But I read some of our Upanishads. I'll read 2 shlokas. And I'll read them slowly and carefully. And then I'll begin to go into meditation. Because now my mind is elevated. It wants to reflect on what I just read. So read or do japa to get one in that frame of mind to meditate. And realize or invoke the idea that you're a seeker when you meditate. Be a seeker when you meditate. While we're actually meditating, we should tell ourselves, I'm not a sister, I'm not a brother, I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl, I'm not a worker, I'm not a student, I have no nationality. Let all of those roles fade to the background. All I am right now is a seeker for greater joy. Give that due importance in your mind. And then, this all still falls under attitude. Seek the Lord's love. Seek the Guru's wisdom. Seek your Ishtadevata, your personal God's love. Unconditional love. Seek your Guru's divine wisdom. What made him or her a Guru? How I do that is I visualize the Lord from the feet all the way to the smile. And then I imagine myself being embraced by the Lord. Then with the Guru, I go from the feet and I imagine all the way to the smile. And then I imagine myself, or visualize myself, prostrating at the feet of my Guru. And in both situations, I feel the Lord's love through me. I feel the Guru's wisdom through me. This is all attitude. Point number 1 is attitude. read or do japa, invoke being a seeker, take on the Lord's love and the Guru's wisdom. Number 2, second point in this internal process is the thought massage. Thought massage. And what this means, some people are looking. It's really fun to watch people while you're from this position, seeing the different reactions. The thought massage is, you start from the bottom of your feet, and you go to the crown of your head, and you go through each body part with your mind, and you massage that body part. You mentally massage that body part. So you focus on your feet, you start there. Any pain, any tension, any strain, let it flow away. Bring healing, bring rest, and then let the feet be. You move to the legs, calves, the knees, the thighs. If there's any cuts, any bruises, let them be healed. And forget it. And move up your body like that. Swamiji, I'm sure, has done this with you. He says, forget about it, forget about it, forget about it. In Swamiji's accent. See, I remember this from way back then. And the idea is that you get to the crown of your head, and we've relaxed this body so completely that we're not aware of it anymore. See, we're slowly going inside, inside, inside. So, and go through the thought massage at your own pace. Don't move while you do it. This is all, it's a mental massage. We're trying to keep the body as still as possible. The more we move, the more distracted that we will be. And as we engage in this more, the quicker we'll be able to do this. Initially, it may take 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But the more practice we have, 5 minutes, 2 minutes. For those who are studying Vedanta regularly, we have 5 sheaths, panchakoshas. Food sheath, air sheath, mental sheath, intellectual sheath, and bliss sheath. And when Guruji was teaching us meditation, then I was talking to one of my batchmates about this. And he was like, it's amazing to watch Guruji meditate because he just lets go of those sheaths so quickly, you know, food sheath gone, air sheath gone, mental sheath gone, intellectual sheath gone, bliss sheath gone. It's just bang, 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 bang. So quick. You and I take so long to do this, and that's okay. But the idea is to, the more expert we become at this, the faster it happens. And when we were learning meditation too, I was reminded of the first time that Neo fought Orpheus, and they're in that room, and that little kid goes and tells everyone, you know, Neo's fighting Orpheus, and everyone got out of their seats and they wanted to watch that happen. So when Guruji announced that he was teaching meditation, everybody showed up at 5:30 a.m. Because Guruji doesn't teach at 5:30 a.m., Samviji does. And so only the students come, nobody else comes. But when Guruji said, I'm going to come at 5:30, everybody came. All the Acharyas, all the people living in the ashram, all the people in the city. And I was thinking to myself, it's like an event, you know, that you're learning meditation from Guruji. It was really exciting. So this is that thought massage. That's point number 2. Point number 3 is to watch one's breath. Watch one's breathing. How we do this is we watch air go from outside of ourselves, in through the nose, through the throat, down into the lungs, out through the lungs, through the throat, out of the nose, and outside. And your eyes are closed, you can't see your breath. But the idea is you're just feeling that air go. Just watch the breathing. Don't control it. Don't speed it up, don't slow it down. Normal breathing. Don't judge the breath either. I breathe so awesomely, or I suck at breathing, or whatever. Don't judge it. Just watch it. Just like I'm saying with the thoughts, right? Just watch the thoughts. Don't get involved with them. Don't get involved with the breathing. Just watch. In Sanskrit we say, practice sakshi bhava. Sakshi means be a witness. Be a witness to your breath. I don't like that word witness because I always associate with the crime scene. So that's why I like to say, just be the observer. Watch. Semantics are not important in scripture, in the scriptural or Vedantic sense. Use whatever words make sense to you. I don't use the word bliss. Ananda tends to be translated into bliss. But when I think of bliss, I think about the hippie movement and drug abuse. So I like joy. Joy to me is much more pure. I don't use the word consciousness, because I think of conscious, unconscious. I like awareness. So choose whatever words you want to use. I don't even use the word Brahmananda. I like to use the word life. Pick which words make sense to you. As you're watching this breathing, enjoy. Enjoy watching. Enjoy this activity. Treat it like a movie. Treat it like a very simple, monotonous movie. You just keep on watching and nothing changes. But you love it. So learn to enjoy being the observer. Number 4. This is our 4th process in regards to meditating. Internal. We've already talked about attitude. We've talked about thought massage. We've talked about watching our breath. The 4th is chanting Om. Chanting Om is the 4th point in the process of meditation. And how this goes is, start by chanting Om out loud. So again, you're sitting like this. You've gone through the attitude, the thought massage, breathing. Your next step is That's what some people do during extempore speeches when I ask them to speak. They just chant Om really long for a minute, and then they speak for 30 seconds, and then they chant Om again. It's ridiculous. When you chant Om, focus on the chanting, and focus on the silence. Focus on the chanting again, focus on the silence. Focus on how chanting and silence keeps on following each other. After you do it out loud, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, whatever time available you have, then switch it into the inside chanting. The mouth remains closed. Now you chant the same amount of times inside. Chant that Om in your mind, listening to it, and listen to the silence. As we focus more on that silence, what happens is that we just flow into the silence. We establish ourselves as that silence. Like I hope we did with the guided imagery today. How we were walking, sitting, and then we just got into the silence. This leads us to our 5th point, which is to just be. Just be. Be. As you listen to the chanting and the silence, chanting silence, you get immersed in that silence, and you don't want to do anything. You just want to be in that silence. All you can do in that silence is just be. Remain there. Don't verbalize that experience. Remain there. Now, as you're just being, occasionally you'll find a thought that comes up. What is this experience? What's happening right now? As soon as you recognize that thought coming up, send a thought that will neutralize that. And that thought is, aham brahmasmi. Aham brahma asmi. Aham brahmasmi means, I am infinite. And what that will serve to do is neutralize this thought, and both will go away. Meditating, I'm silent. Think a thought arises, it's too hot. Aham brahmasmi. Go back to the silence. Just stay there as long as you can. Which is why, if you practice meditation, make sure you give ample time for it. Not 10 minutes before a class or 10 minutes before you have to go to work. Because you may hit samadhi, and who knows when you'll get into samadhi then, right? So give yourself ample time. Otherwise the mind will be thinking, oh, I'm late, I'm going to get late, I should get up. Give yourself lots of time for this experience. If you didn't catch what was shared, all of this is on page 117. Meditation in Life, it's on page 117. Now I encourage you to follow this process. This is the process that I've studied, and I've heard other Acharyas teach as well. This is what I teach as well, naturally. But if you don't get it, if this doesn't stimulate that excitement, that bhava, create your own process of meditation. See, the goal is what is important. The means are not important. Do what makes sense to you. So if you don't like the thought massage, if imagining your mind leaving your body and you go higher and higher into space, if that makes you relax the body, great. These are not set rules. These are suggested. And the same goes with puja as well. See, a lot of us are scared by worship. We're scared by the rituals that are happening. Does that mean we should just avoid them then? A lot of us adopt that attitude. I don't get it, I'm not going to do it. That's a poor attitude. Better strategy is two options. Learn what's happening, understand the rituals, or create your own rituals, the same bhava, the same attitude or sentiment. In Houston, at the retreat there, I was talking about sadhana. And I told them, when you do puja, the chicks there, when you do puja, as Swamiji has told us many times, we're inviting the Lord in our heart to manifest in the padukas or the murti, and we're treating them like a guest. We wash their feet, we give them water, we give them clothes. So when you do puja, treat the Lord like your friend. Have coffee with him or her. Listen to music with them. Watch a movie. Be their friend. Talk to them. Just have a conversation with your Lord. It doesn't matter what names you use, what condition it is. Talk to them. That's prayer. Create your own. The sentiment is what is important, not what language you use. If you don't understand Sanskrit, you can't realize that. Right? Some of us think that. So, again, I don't want to get realized then. I don't want to learn Sanskrit. It doesn't matter. Find realization in your own way. As we're reflecting on the nature of meditation, this will involve struggle. A tremendous amount of struggle will be involved with meditation. because it's so unique to what we're doing all the time. I've talked about sleep, talked about anger, talked about physical pain, talked about distraction. All of this is going to come up. But that's purification. Like boiling something to make it pure. Enjoy the struggle. Know that that struggle is part of this journey. This is the price that we will have to pay for liberation. We have to pay and offer this struggle for the reward of enlightenment. Guruji likes to use the quote that the road to perfection is always under construction. The road to perfection is always under construction. It's a lifetime involvement of efforts. We may get lost on this journey. We may fall into limbo. So practice awareness. Practice as much awareness as possible, all the time. And a good way to develop this general awareness is pick one activity, starting today or tomorrow. Pick one daily activity and do it with total focus. I suggest brushing your teeth. Definitely it happens once a day. Maybe bonus if it's 2 times a day or 3 times a day. But when you do it, give your total attention to taking the toothbrush out, putting toothpaste on, putting it under the water, moving around in your mouth, rinsing. Be totally aware of that process. And then what will happen is brushing will lead, we'll get into showering, we'll get into dressing, we'll get into driving, and that single activity will slowly extend to all of our daily activities. And then what's happening in here, we'll be able to deal with it. Because we have that awareness. We won't get lost with our thoughts. This is what we do. One thought comes, I want a cupcake. Which takes me to, remember that bakery I went to in Paris? Oh yeah, Paris, this is where that movie happened. And then I listened to that song in Paris. But then I got into this fight. Oh, I hate that person. Right? And we just, who knows how we got there? We just get swept away with our thoughts. But if we practice awareness, we won't allow ourselves to get swept away. We will control our thoughts versus our thoughts controlling us. There's more to share on the struggles of meditation, which we will take up tomorrow, and we will conclude with other suggestions, advice, guidance, tips on how to make this sadhana more successful.
Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari